It's the Digital Babble with your host, Flipper. Colorful commentary on your photography. Seen on fingerlakes1.com.
Hey, everybody. It's the Digital Babble here live on fingerlakes1.tv every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. with me, Flipper. I'm your local photo enthusiast, and this week is going to be an extra special show. Got the idea from a few friends of mine who are getting ready to go on vacation, so they thought a great show would be to talk about cameras to take on vacation, because sometimes you don't want to take the big camera. Well, maybe you don't have a big camera and you're looking for something that is portable. So that's what we're going to be talking about this week. Anyway, I'm Flipper. This is the Digital Babble every Wednesday night, fingerlakes1.tv. You can also check out our website at tdbny.com. So there I post the videos and also articles as I get a chance. Jakey's been posting a couple times now. My cat seems to like the keyboard better than I do sometimes. So go check it out, and we'll post more stuff as we go. But anyway, this week's show, all about traveling, photography and taking a camera with you. And I'd really like to thank my two extra very special friends who called me this week and asked for advice. It made me feel very special. It always makes me feel special when people ask for advice, I guess. It's just something fun, because they value your opinion, So it was a great confidence booster, I guess you could say. And then it gave me a great idea for this show. So I'm going to flip the format a little bit and just wing it this week. So this week, we're talking about photos, and I think I got a couple Photoshop things that we can do later in the show. So traveling, getting ready for a safari on the Serengeti or going to the beach. Doesn't matter where you're heading. Maybe you're going to go check out the Aztec pyramids. Doesn't matter. The question comes down to is, how do you take your camera with you? Now, a lot of people do the camera phone thing. They'll have an iPhone, or maybe they have a Google phone, and it's got good enough resolution to take some general memory pictures. Absolutely they do. I'm not going to argue that. Small sensor, so there's a little bit of a different type of quality in the photo, but still does a decent job. The bigger problem with cell phones and phone cameras is the fact that there's a lot of drawbacks to them. One is selective focusing. You don't have a lot of selective focusing with an iPhone or a Google phone. What I mean by that is saying you're lining up to take a picture in front of, the Sphinx. And you want to make sure the person in front is definitely in focus, but the Sphinx is whatever, it's there, okay? But the real subject is the person, okay? You can't selectively focus on that person. You have to fiddle fart around with autofocus until you get that person in tack sharp focus. So that's one of the drawbacks. Another drawback is usually a shutter lag. What we define shutter lag is from the moment your brain tells your finger to pull the trigger. So you're pulling up and you get ready to fire and you pull the trigger, okay? So that's brain lag. From the time the trigger fires to the time the camera actually takes the photo is what we call shutter lag. Now, I don't really calculate shutter lag with autofocusing lag as well, because like a lot of people use autofocus. So you got to allow half a second or so for the autofocus to work. That's just autofocus working. But from the minute you're focused you pull the trigger to the time it takes the photo. A lot of cell phones are usually about a half a second. So you could miss that moment. You could miss that smile. You could miss that dolphin or whale flapping its tail out in the ocean if you're on a cruise ship. It's just one of those things that a lot of people don't think about when they're buying a camera or buying a phone or taking something on vacation or something. A lot of people like their phones. I'm not arguing. You like your phone, you're okay with it, and you get the pictures that you want, more power to you. I'm not going to argue. But if you want to step that game up just a little bit, then you've got to start getting into real cameras. And what I mean by real cameras, Canon G12. Whoops, this way. Got to figure out which way I am on camera. So this is a Canon G12. Nice compact guy, a little heavier pointer shoot than most. It's about 12 ounces. Comes with a decent sized lens. I think it's 28 to 135 or 24 to 135, something of that nature. And f2.8, so nice wide opening. so you can get a lot of low light shots, kind of get that blur taking a portrait, this is what a lot of people have considered one of the cameras that professionals use for point and shoot. So the professional point and shoot. And I kind of agree with them because it has every control I ever want on a camera, but in a point and shoot. So, I flip it out and, line it up and set my settings, change my dials, take the picture. Halfway down, autofocuses, pull it the rest of the way, and it fires. The problem with the G12 and most point and shoots is it does exhibit a small shutter lag. I have missed plenty of shots when I was taking shots of, there was an event where people were running some type of marathon, I'm assuming. I was going to take a couple of shots to send into the local paper. And I think out of 25 shots, I think I only got 2 shots that I really liked that were halfway decent because I had shutter lag. And I wasn't thinking about combating the shutter lag. So that's another drawback to traveling and cameras and camera versus phone. But the G12 only has a 1/4 of a second shutter lag, whereas an iPhone or something might have a 1/2 a second. So right there is one of those drawbacks, but yet the camera takes care of it a little bit better. So that's another downfall to like the phone thought process. The other thing too is I've always been one, if you take your phone, you probably won't lose it, but what if it gets stolen? Versus same thing, what about the camera getting stolen? The difference here is the mentality of what you think about. When you're carrying a camera, you're consciously always keeping an eye on the camera. When you're carrying your phone, it doesn't always happen that way. I watched somebody who evidently likes to put their camera in their bra, reach down, put their camera in their bra, thought that they got it in there, started walking away, the phone fell out down below, and somebody right behind him picked it up and took off with it. Nobody better other than me knew the difference. And just because I was walking about 4 paces behind her. So, again, that question comes down to, well, how is this going to be different than a phone? Well, you're going to strap this, you're going to have a strap, and you're going to put it on your person, most likely if you're out shooting photos of your subject. So there's a third drawback. Now, am I going to say that, phones aren't worth it? No, phones are fine. I just prefer a camera. So we're getting ready to go on the safari, and I got my hat, I'm ready to go, I got my sunscreen on, I'm ready to go. So now the question comes down to, I got to go buy a camera. What kind of camera do I want to buy to go on this trip? Or if I already have one, what am I looking for in it? Maybe if I got multiple cameras, I don't know, it depends on what you got. So I'm going to buy a new camera this time, and this is what we're going to talk about, is buying a new camera for a specific purpose. So I'm going to be going on a vacation, I'm going to be doing a lot of walking tours. I'm going to be doing a lot of climbing. So what's the first thing I think of? I want to make sure that my camera is as light as possible. Okay. Now the question still comes down to is what type of camera would be the best for the situation. So we'll leave that lingering out here in space as the ultimate question, but let's just kind of go over some of the different things that we're looking for. So weight of the camera and lens. If you're bringing an SLR, which type of camera is going to be the lightest? Most likely, you're going to have a really light camera out of a point and shoot or a mirrorless. Okay, so I'll show you a couple examples here in just a second of those. But those are usually the lighter, smaller versions of full cameras, SLR cameras. So thinking about that, my G12 would strap around my neck. It probably won't give me a neck ache. I could probably wear it 8 hours a day, and I wouldn't even think of it that I'm wearing it. Now, I go get my SLR out with any one of my lenses that I've got, and it becomes like a 5-pound weight. This is 12 ounces, less than a Pepsi, okay? So you're carrying around a Pepsi, and you get a strap, and it goes around your neck, and you hold it, and right there it is, okay? The mirrorless, same thought process. It's a 1/4 the size of a full SLR, so it's going to be a lot lighter. It's smaller, lighter. The big downfall to the mirrorless is that you don't have a viewfinder. 90% of the mirrorless do not have this little guy right here, which is a viewfinder. It doesn't have an optical viewfinder, so you can't look through it and go, okay, there's my picture, snap, okay? So is that a downfall? It could be, depends on what you like. But the bigger downfall is that it's going to burn batteries because you're composing everything on the LCD. The LCD requires more power than a viewfinder does. So that's a thing to keep in mind. If you're going to be long times without getting back to the hotel for power, then, or you're not bringing extra batteries, and big tip, always when you're traveling, bring extra batteries, make sure they're charged. That way, at night, when you're at the hotel, you can charge your batteries up for the next day, and then you get 2 or 3 changes of batteries, depending on how much you're shooting. Saying you're going to go visit relatives, maybe over in Ireland, and you want to capture not only the scenery, but everything happening, and you really want to document, oh, there's Aunt Phyllis, and she's all, getting all set up over there, and I got to get a picture of her because, she's 90. Okay. Oh, there's the twins. Oh, they're coming. Oh, I want to see the twins. The twins are so cute. We got to make sure to get pictures of them. Using those as examples, we can now start looking at what we want in a camera. Weight. How long am I going to be wearing this thing? What am I going to be doing? Am I going to get tired of wearing it? Is it going to be a pain to lug around? So that really comes down to the question with weight. Well, this is 12 ounces. What is it? The Mirrorless is actually a touch lighter at 10 ounces. Most of them are, until you put the lens on. Then you put the lens on, add another pound. Okay, so you got 2 pounds, so 2 Pepsis. I know I'm kind of giving you, giving everything in a reference of Pepsis. How many Pepsis do we have? So there's the 2 types, point and shoot, mirrorless. Okay, the big difference between the two is point and shoot comes with a fixed lens. So we have a fixed lens right here. Okay, and that's all there is. You can't change it. Now you can put attachments on and change the focal length that way, but really it's not the same as having another lens that's made for that focal length. So then what we do is then we get into the idea of, okay, well, do I want point and shoot or do I want mirrorless? Mirrorless has no mirror, has no shutter, has nothing in the actual camera. It's literally looking through the lens all the time. When you pull the trigger, it does a 1/4 second lag. So there again, there's that lag, and then takes the picture. Now, 1/4 second, most people ain't going to care too much about, just because it's, I don't think most people can perceive a 1/4 second as well as they can perceive a 1/2 second, Because, if you think about it, every second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if we do every 1/2 second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every 1/4 second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be a lot faster. And I don't think people are going to perceive a 1/4 second versus a 1/2 second. So you'll notice that there's a lag, but you're not going to perceive it, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. So speaking of that, there's two scenarios. So point and shoot, 1/2 second, maybe a 1/4 second, depending on what kind of camera you get. You can get the Nikon. Oh, I forgot the model. Oh, geez, I had it right on my tongue. Nikon has a model that's a point and shoot, which is comparable to the G12. They tout only having 0.15 of a second shutter lag. I've talked to a lot of people who have Nikon's point and shoots, and they love them because of the shutter lag so slow, or slow fast. So little. So really, you got to check out your brands. You got to go check your stuff out. Check out the specs. Now, that versus the mirrorless, which is basically an SLR, just without all the extra guts. So no pentaprism viewfinder, no shutter, no mirror. So the camera can be shrunk from this big down to this big. So, a 1/4 of the size of the camera body can be, just shed. It's gone. Okay. So that's really the appeal would be the best word I think I could use. The appeal to getting a mirrorless camera is the fact that it's lighter, but it gives you the same functionality as a DSLR, and it's fully functional. It gives you ISO controls, same things as with the point and shoot. The better point and shoots give you aperture and shutter, so doesn't the mirrorless. But the bigger thing with the mirrorless is it gives you that extra quality, and it also lowers your shutter lag a bit. So it's just like shooting a regular camera for the most part. Get a little bit more shutter lag than with an SLR, but not too bad. So now going with an SLR, now you have interchangeable lenses, just like with the mirrorless. Mirrorless is interchangeable lenses as well. But the bigger thing is that there's more lenses to choose from. Right now, mirrorless don't come with too many lenses. They have adapters so you can use other lenses, but then it gets kind of into this weird kind of confusing kind of, well, what adapter do I need for what lens? And so forgetting all that jazz and going with just a straight SLR, they make some decent SLRs for not bad prices that you could take for traveling, such as the Canon SL1, which is an awesome camera, just came out, and it's one quarter less camera as far as body, weight, frame, electronics, but and about 5 ounces lighter. And that 5 ounces can mean a lot. I mean, really think about it. You're carrying this camera around your neck for 8 hours a day. You're going to really want, that 8 ounces is going to feel like 20 pounds by the end of the day. So that's kind of one thing to look at. So weight is always a good thing. So there's your three types of cameras. We're talking about weight. We're talking about shutter lag. And then the other thing to look at is, how easy is it to pack and carry on depending on where you're going. If you're traveling in a car, no big deal. Bring all the camera equipment you want. If you're getting on a plane, on the other hand, you're going to want to probably put it in overhead storage, or if you have a decent luggage thing where you can pack it in and you got a decent camera bag that's padded, because you know how they treat luggage sometimes, make sure that it's protected. So those are your options, and you got to really think about how you're traveling, how you're going to get there, and how safe is the equipment going to be. I know some photographers, they'll take their full rigs and all their lenses and flashes and everything to go to a far off land because they want to be totally prepared, and they rent these Pelican boxes, which are completely indestructible boxes, frost and heat resistant, totally a huge expense, and they pack everything in there, put foam in between it, and then ship it ahead of time to their hotel. Then when they arrive, they're there, and then on their last day, they ship it back to their home. Is that an okay way to do it? Sure, I don't mind. I think a lot of photographers might do that if you want to go to that expense. I probably wouldn't. I'm closer to the home user, I suppose, in that respect, because if I got to go on a plane, I bring this. If I've got to go in a car, but I can bring the bigger equipment because I got room in the car, I'll bring the bigger equipment. So you got to make choices, just like anything else. So let's get into some of the, I got some different examples of different cameras. So let's start off with the big guys. Here's SLRs. You got the Canon T4i, and right next to it on the left is the Canon SL1. As you can see, it is totally redesigned. The IR port, the image sensor, and the light sensor is in a different spot. The flash is smaller. The top of the body is smaller. It's less wide. Everything is streamlined and compact, and they got rid of a quarter of the body and a quarter of the weight. So a Canon T4i T4 or I is 16 ounces or so, and the SL1 is about 10, 11. I think it comes out to be 11. So less than a bottle of Pepsi. So you put this around your neck without a lens, ain't gonna bug you too much for 8 hours. Add a lens, now that's where it gets complicated. So talking about that, you want to make sure to check your weight for your lens. Now, what are you going to go shoot? You got to ask yourself what you're going to go shoot. You don't want to pack every single lens that you own. You're going to want to buy a lens that's going to give you the most bang for your buck and be as light as it possibly can be, so that when you're out traveling and you're doing your stuff, you're not burdened down by weight or by bulkiness. So I came up with one lens that I really liked, and it's not the best lens in the world. I just got to find it here, but it does pretty much shoot anything you want out there. This is a Tamron 28-300 lens. They also make a 18-270, which is the equivalent depending on what type of sensor you have. So 28-300 would be on full frame camera, like Canon Mark 5 or 5D Mark II, or the 5D, anything that's a full frame. Great lens. It's a huge 10x, 11x zoom range. You can hit things wide angle, nice wide angle, and you can hit things way out. I mean, you're talking sniper time. You can be way over on the other side of the field and still get a picture of that deer over there, Or maybe you're trying to get a picture of somebody racing by with a bicycle, but you're too far away, so you pull up and you can zoom this in all the way 300 and just get the top part of the person riding that bike. That's the kind of zoom range this is. Now, this is what we call a great walk-around lens. It's 1.5 pounds, okay, so fairly lightweight. And on top of it, put it on the SL1. You're only adding 11 ounces to that. It makes it heavier, but it's still not bad for having a walk-around lens and take it wherever you want to go. And you're going to get the quality of an SLR without having, necessarily the compromising for the bulk. So that's a great lens. Awesome lens. Put it on an SLR, go. You can walk around, shoot anything you want. Telephoto, wide angle, doesn't matter. You want to shoot a portrait while you're over there? You can shoot a portrait. You want to do portraits of the whole family? Sit them down on a picnic table, get the light the way you want it, snap, 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 and you're good. This lens will do it. You want to do wide angle, kind of distorted stuff? Shove the camera right up somebody's nose and fire as close as you can that'll focus clear. And you could have some fun and do like the laughing cow thought process, the distorted wide angle look, that can get fun too. This lens will do it. Now, it is a slower lens, so you're not going to be able to shoot in low light as well, but with today's sensors and the ISO being as high as they are, it's not so bad. All right, so what else we got here? We got, here's that Nikon V1 or J1. No, that's the J1. Okay, so this is a mirrorless design. Notice there's no viewfinder. There's no extra stuff. You have one shutter button, you have one dial button, and everything else is controlled in menus on the back. I think it's touchscreen. If not, it's got controls. It's got a 3-inch display on the back to do focusing. It does do focusing. You can do focusing, you can do zooming, all on the lens, and the lenses are interchangeable. The difference is that they're smaller, compact, and lightweight lenses. They're not the full-size SLR lenses, so you're going to save a little bit of weight, and you're also going to save a little bit of size. So packing this into a carry-on bag is probably not going to be too hard of a deal. Great lens for traveling. Awesome, great package for traveling. Now, you can buy different lenses. You can get a nice wide-angle 22mm in a kit with this. You can get a zoom on 18-55, or you can go and purchase the actual 28-135 and give you that extra zoom range. Each lens is a little bit heavier that I just talked about. Again, question comes down to is what you're trying to shoot and how much you want to carry around. I would recommend no matter what lens you get, or no matter what camera and lens you get a bag that fits both. Because if you get a bag that's comfortable and you can fit both inside, okay, you're going to always have this on you, and you're going to take it with you. You're going to go to your events, you're going to go to your things, and it's always going to be with you, and you're going to get shots. And you're going to get shots that you would have, probably been like, oh, I forgot to bring my camera. I've done that a good number of times. Don't let that be an excuse. You got to have the camera on you and shoot away. You never know what you're going to get. I had a friend of mine who went to a Niagara Falls, I think it was a Kenny Chesney concert, and he came out of some place, and they were all outside of the concert hall, just kind of hanging out, and he came out of some place to go finish his run, and they recognized him a little bit, and by the time they got back, somebody finally found a camera. When he came back, they were like, oh, we love you, da-da-da, come over and get a picture with us, and they got personal, up-close, one-on-one pictures with this guy, and it was just amazing. You never know what situation could be coming your way. So keep your cameras with you. Make sure the batteries are charged, and make sure you got something that you take with you. Let's see. I got another example here. Of course, we got the Canon G1X or the Nikon. Oh, I forgot the name of it again. There's a Nikon point and shoot. This is a point and shoot, but this is the professional grade point and shoot. Everybody says that it's professionals like these models because they're the better side of the point and shoot. If you'll notice on the show, I have yet to show one of those cheap little $79 point and shoot guys because they suck. I don't care for them. You like them, go use them. I don't care for them. I would rather pay a little extra money and have a better camera than paying $79 and having a toy that I'm going to fire about 10 shots off of and get mad at and throw it in the canal. Just the way it is. Quality versus quantity, I guess. This is a great camera too. Point and shoot. Comes with a hot shoe, so you can add an external flash. You got a flash on it. It's built in and it pops down, so it's out of the way. You got your control dials up on the left side there, or right side. It's looking at us, but it's the right side of the camera. The shutter and the zoom is all right there. The control knob is on the front there where your shutter is. It's a great lens. It's a 4x lens, so it's 28 to 135. You can get most any shot with this, but you're not going to get your super telephoto lens because that's just not what this is. Battery life on these are rechargeable, lithium ions. They're wonderful. They charge in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you get 8 to 10 hours worth of shooting depending on what you're shooting. If you're just taking still shots, no big deal. You take video, drains the battery very quickly. Again, you got a optical viewfinder here, but you can also compose off the back LCD. Great cameras. So there it is. That is some great examples of equipment to take on your vacations, you know, and really the big idea is if you're going to be doing a lot of traveling, you want something light, you want something with a decent zoom range, and you want to make sure that it's decent quality enough where you can control it. So answering those questions, those are 3 types of cameras that I would recommend to people. The point and shoot, go the better point and shoots where you have all your settings and all your stuff like the Canon G12, the Canon G15, the Canon G1X. If you want to get out of the point and shoot range and go to SLR because you're going to be taking a lot of action photos because you got a lot of grandkids that are running around, you know, being nuts, and you want to try to get some shots of them, go with an SLR or a mirrorless because they have less shutter lag. Plus, they have interchangeable lenses depending on what you're trying to shoot. So you get a little bit more play and everything. If I was going to go on vacation right now, say to Africa, and I wanted to go on a safari, and I didn't want to bring my big rig and everything else and all my equipment, I would probably settle on a, probably not a mirrorless. I don't think I would go mirrorless. I'd probably go with the SL1 because it's lightweight, third, you know, or 1/4 less the size, 1/4 less the weight. On top of that, I would probably get that Tamron 28 to 300 because I never know what I'm going to shoot. How close are they going to be? Are they going to be way out? Are they going to be right up close? I can shoot no matter what, and I don't have to change a lens. The only drawback about the Tamron is it's not as fast as most other lenses, like a 2.8. It's an f3.6, I think. But that's not that bad. But, you know, it's still, if you're really trying to get those low light photos, you might have a situation or a problem. Great lenses, great cameras. Really, I can't say enough about the Canon brand because I do like the Canon brand. Can't say enough about the Nikon brand because I like the Nikon brand. Some people like the Sony brands. I haven't heard too much high or low. Some people praise them, some people hate them. You know, the other subsets such as the Panasonic / Lumix cameras are pretty decent, but I've never really gotten a chance to try them, so I can't really tell you so much about those. A lot of people like Fujifilm because Fujifilm's been coming out of nowhere, trying to compete against Kodak and Canon, and not only are they doing it in the film race, they're also doing it in the digital race. So, you know, you might find a Fujifilm camera that's, you know, pretty decent that, you know, not too expensive. So I'm going to go to Africa. So I got my SL1, I got my Tamron, I got a bag, I got a good bag that's padded. That way I know the camera's not going to get broken in my travels. I also have a bag that's going to hang with me. Either it hangs on my belt or it hangs on as a backpack or it hangs around my neck. I would prefer not the neck because you can screw up your back very quickly doing that. But some people survive it, some people don't. I'm one of the ones that didn't. So, you know, get your camera on a neck strap or on a hand strap. Hand straps are nice, but it does take up a hand to hold it. So if you don't want a hand strap, get a neck strap or something comfortable. I like the sniper straps. That's where they kind of come across the body. Let me see if I can do this. It comes across the body around here, and then the camera sits down here. And it's kind of like a sniper rifle. You pull the gun up and get ready to fire, and then you're ready to fire. Boom, you got it. So those things being said, I'm going to take this off because I'm getting hot now. Those things being said, it just depends on what you're going to go shoot. Like I said, I would probably do the SL1. That's me. Some people like the mirrorless cameras. I like them. They're neat, but I kind of worry about draining the battery too fast. And if you're going to get any camera, always remember to get an extra set of rechargeable batteries for that camera. Because if you run out of juice middle of your vacation or middle of your shoot or middle of whatever you're doing, you're going to be ticked. And trust me, that is almost psychologically debilitating to sit there and be like, I got a shot in front of me and my camera won't work. You're ready to fire the thing or throw it. You know, it gets really frustrating. So the big tips, I'll go over one more time. Get something light, get something portable, get a good case, make sure it has a good range on it, decent quality, and get batteries. Make sure you have extra batteries on hand, just in case you get that extra special rainbow over the bay shot that nobody else is seeing. Maybe you can capture it, if you got your camera on you. So that's my tips for travel photography at this point, and kind of just sparked a little side thing. So I kind of went off in no man's land. We got about, I think 20 minutes left. So I thought I was going to do a couple Photoshop things. If you guys like that or want to do that, that'd be great. If not, if you want to send me an email, if you ever want to send me an email with questions, with comments, please send them to thedigitalbabble@gmail.com, or you can go check out our website at tdbny.com and go check out past shows. You can go see all the shows are recorded. They're on there. Finger Lakes One has them. It's kind of fun. I've actually watched most of my past shows, and I think my biggest complaint to myself is that I say way too many times. But I think it's because my brain's going so fast and my mouth ain't keeping up. Maybe that's it. Or maybe I'm skipping. Maybe I'm like a track, I'm skipping in a record. So, this is usually where I usually pop into Photoshop and I start doing some stuff. So, since I didn't do anything with Photoshop last week, I wanted to make it a point to do something in Photoshop this week. So, I got two really good images here that I took at a car show in Geneva 2 years ago, I think it was. And this is the downtown... what is it called? Cruise night, I think it is. And it was just kind of funny the way I framed this up. At the top, buy the best for less. And here's this wonderful classic car, nice bright yellow. The chrome is nice and shiny. And I didn't really look to see what was in the background. And of course, here we go. We have Missy 1 and Mr. 2. And I think they detract from the photo. That's me because I'm being overly sensitive. I also want to do a few things to control a couple things here. I might want to take this little oil mark out here and just, clean that up just so it's kind of like, hey, this is it. I still love this best for less spot here. This is just, it just fits. I don't know. I don't even think I realized I took that picture. Now the other thing we could do too is we could clean up the windshield and take this mark out of here, or take that paper, but I'm not going to get too far into it. But I'm just going to clean up the picture a little bit. I'm going to try to take those people out real quick and get a final picture going. So I'm going to clear the arrows here, and we're going to pop over to Photoshop. Hi, Photoshop. Hi, Flipper. I know that was weird. I won't do that ever again. So here we are. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with some basic edits. And I think what I really want to do is I want to get to a point where I'm happy with the colors and I'm happy with the contrast and the levels. I really think it's plenty dark contrast, but I think what we're missing is we need to be just a touch lighter, because I think it's just too much contrast. Because, I mean, we don't want to be way down here, even though I like the color of the yellow now. I really don't like the shadows. So maybe instead of doing a levels, so let's do that. Maybe instead of doing a levels, we're going to drop the levels out. Bye-bye. And I think I'm going to do a little thing called shadows, highlights, and it used to be midtones and highlights, but now it's just shadows and highlights. So if you go under image, adjustment, it won't pop over the other way, sorry. And then shadow and highlights. And what you can do is you can bring up the shadows, as you can see here. It takes the darker part of the darker portion of the photo and lightens it up according to how much you want to move it. Now there is other options where you can do tonal width. How much of the dark area do you want to really do? I usually only set this at max 15%. Radius is 30 pixels, which is fine. And then I kind of play with the slider until I get what I want. I'm kind of trying to just lighten the shadow up down here so I can feel nicer about it. We're probably right about, wow, that's a lot. Okay, we'll go right about there. Now you could bring also the highlights down, as you can see, and I could bring some of my highlights and the color back into the car and richen it up a little bit. I don't know if I really want 50% of the tonal width, probably 20%. And what this is doing is taking the very brightest white and coming down 20% of the spectrum. And so the top 20% is then what's being adjusted. So as you can see, my midtones aren't going to move, but my highlights are going to move. So I can get rid of that spectral highlight there on the front of the car. But I think we got to enhance the width just a touch because I want to get a little bit more color in the car. So maybe 25%. And then bring it in here. Yeah, that's not bad. The bottom color adjustment corrections and mid-tone contrast. I mean, you can increase the mid-tone contrast or decrease the mid-tone contrast. It will give you different effects. You can play with the slider. Always remember it stops at 0. Or there's no effect at 0. But I like that. That looks pretty good. I'm going to take that. So now that is a destructive edit that we just did. And what that means is that it actually changed the layer, the layer that we were working on destructively. You can't really, you'd have to undo it or reload the file in order to go back to the original. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing destructive edits. I probably should have made a copy of it, which I'm going to start doing some other destructive edits. So I'm going to make a copy and be ready to go. So I really want to adjust the tones before I do any of these edits. So I'm going to try to get that tone adjustment. And we're going to do a levels. Now we can get to it many ways. We can go to adjustments up here, or we can go back to the layers panel, and you can see the half moon pie here. That gives you adjustment layers, and then one of them is levels. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just richen up the mid-tones a little bit, but I got to figure out which way I really want to go. Probably lighten it, and then darken it. That's going to give me too much contrast, but I'll take it. I'll take it. That looks pretty good. All right. Maybe I'll back it off. I'm still not happy with this. I got to figure out what I really want to do with it. So let's go there. That looks too much. Let's try right there. That looks better. Okay. So just little tiny baby edits. That's really what it comes down to. Little baby edit here, little baby edit there. And what this does for us is it gives us the ability to make little adjustments. Control Alt Shift E will give me a clone stamp of that, a new layer that's all my edits now. I'm going to make that and another layer copy. I'm going to get rid of my bottom layer. So now I can play around with getting rid of the heads back here and stuff, and we can see what we're going to do. I think we're going to take and we're going to zoom right in here. We got a person's head here. Now, we got a couple different tools at our disposal. We can do clone stamping, which is probably going to be the proper way to do this because, really it's going to be tough to do it any other way, I think. So I'm going to grab an area here. I'm going to hold the Alt key to get me a target area. So I think I'm going to try to find this area here. And I'm going to shrink my brush up to where I'm comfortable and I can move it a little bit. And then I'm just going to take and paste her away. And brush her away. And I'm going to lift the mouse and grab the next area and do a little bit more. Now you'll notice you'll start getting a repeating pattern in here. You can just hit the Alt key again and grab a different area a little bit and start painting it back in, and you'll get a little bit different pattern each time. And that's where you start getting the randomness so that it doesn't look like it's photoshopped or photo edited. And as you can tell, we're just going to keep working on her until we get her hair out of there. Get some of the brown out of the thing up here. And then I'm going to try to keep the shape there. So we keep working on her a little at a time here. Oh, it's like the magic vanishing cream, Tom and Jerry used to use when the cartoon. That was always fun. Jerry found the magic vanishing cream, and then when he started rubbing it on like this, he just kind of vanished. Which is exactly what our person here is going to do now. So we won't have a head in the middle of our photo. Now you're going to have to get artistic a little bit and kind of start blending in, different color ranges and looking at why something looks the way it does. Try to fix what you're doing. I might not worry too much about that because I'm really not worried about this photo in particular. It's not going to go up on the wall or anything, but it is a great photo for examples. So... yeah, whoops. So there we go. Now we back it off to the photo. Look, she's gone. Now, if we wanted to really make another attempt at this, we could make another attempt and get rid of her book and her hands here by grabbing the red thing here, the red bench it looks like they're on. So let's grab the red bench and we will try to make her totally disappear here. Now we're going to have to get artistic a little bit here, and we're going to have to figure out how to get some other colors in here and other pieces. And where does the bench go? Of course, we got to think about where the bench goes. Where does the bench go? I don't know. Probably right about there, I'm guessing. So we bring the background to there. Now we're going to bring the bench in and start painting the bench back in. And, you know, kind of coming up to the car. Oh, look at this. She's almost gone. She's going. She's going. She's out of here. Whoops. Got a little too much there. Edit, undo. I think I'll take it like that. That looks pretty good. Gone. She's gone. The bench looks pretty decent. She's gone. Now we can work on the guy's head over here. So now the question comes down to is what can we do here? This is so noisy back here. What are we going to be able to do? Clone stamp going to work? Sure, it could work pretty good, but we have to really think in an artistic manner what's actually behind this person. So I'm going to assume there's a blank page like this, and there's whatever this is hanging in the window, and that's probably the window frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the clone stamp and I'm going to just draw the window frame in the best I can to make it so that the window frame takes precedence all the way down to the red piece. Now, what's the next step? Would I take the white area? Yeah, I think the white area would be good here. And we're just going to paint in a little at a time until we get his hat to go away. And we're going to shape that up just ever so slightly. Now, this is where it's going to get tricky because we know there's a white page behind him. So we're going to grab this, and then we got to figure out where we want to line this up over here. Probably right about there. Now we can draw in and out just a little bit, but notice the plus sign. This clone stamp takes whatever's on the plus sign and then redraws it wherever the brush is, the circle. So you're always working in this weird thing. Notice I went over the thing and I got some brown, so we don't want that. So I'm going to have to reselect by holding Alt and grabbing another piece of that white and bringing down. Okay, so we're going to grab more white here. Bring it down. Right. And we got to be careful because we don't want to get too far into limbo here. Whoops, I'm still getting off just a touch here. Yeah, right there. That's kind of good. Right here, it comes straight down. There we go. That fixed the pull. Okay, so now we got some white area here. We can bring this in like that, and then bring it down to him, and bring more over here by the car. Bring a little bit more down by the bottom of the pole, the red area. Boom. He is almost gone. Can you believe this? It's like magic. And we're going to finish drawing that out there, and then we're going to grab this and go do. Voila, I think he's gone. No more person. No more people in the background. Perfect. Okay, so now we got our destructive edits done. If I want to go back, I made a copy of that layer. They're back. Now they're not. They're back. Now they're not. And that's the beautiful thing about working with Photoshop and layers is that you can work in small baby steps and see your progress as you go through this. So let's see. What else do we want to do? I wanted to enhance the color, didn't I? So now that I got the people out, I'm done pixel pushing. I'm good with. Oh, whoops! I wanted to get rid of this god awful stain down here. It looks like the car's leaking. You don't want that. Car ain't leaking. So I'm going to make a bigger brush, and I'm going to take a targeted area right on that line. And then I'm going to line it up right up here, like so. And then we're going to draw that stain out. Or paint that stain out, per se. I'm going to paint a little bit from this way. Trying to keep the colors real. Randomizing the pattern, so hopefully it doesn't look too Photoshop. And I'm sure it's going to look a little Photoshop because it always does. Especially if you get good at looking at pictures and going, yeah, that's Photoshop. Alright. I could blur that and make that a little bit more real, but without seeing me do that, you probably wouldn't notice that too bad. So there's our image there. Now let's do the enhancement to the colors. We're going to do a hue and saturation. Brings up our sliders over here. And I think I want to really enhance the colors, but I'm not sure what I want to enhance. So I'm going to bring up the master saturation. so I can see where things are. Okay, so we got yellows, we got some reds in the background, then we got that kind of yellowish brown in the back, dark white, yellow, brown, blues. The pavement's got blues, the chrome's got blue in it. Okay, well, let's try. I want to enhance 2 colors mostly, and that's it. And I think that's going to be, well, maybe 3. I'm going to enhance the blue, the red, and the yellow, because I really want to I want to pump it up a little bit. So let's go grab, and we're going to go red, and I'm going to start with just red, and I'm going to see where I want to put that's got to be a convertible or a bench. I can't tell, but I'm going to bring that up just a touch because it really looks like it needs to be there. So we're going to put it up at probably +8, maybe +10. Little edits go a long way. Keep that in mind. All right, now I'm going to pump up the yellows because I want the yellow car to be a little bit brighter yellow. You know, because we could dull it down to black and white, or we can bring in just a little yellow, or we can really pump it up. But notice that the background's getting real yellow too, so I want to be careful with that. I don't want to go too much on the background, so let's go probably +10. And then I'm going to darken the yellows just a touch, just to give it a little more real color saturation. Now that I darkened it, I'm going to have to pump the colors up even higher. Darken it a little bit more. Pump it up a little bit more until I get the color mix that I'm really looking for. I think that's it. Really deep, rich yellow car right here. Maybe a little too much. I think I cooked it just a touch much. We'll bring it back to 25, see what it looks like. All right, I'll take it. 25 looks good. Now we want to get those blues, the blue and the chrome. That really looks like that could be a fun thing to pop, make colors pop. So let's see if that's the color. Yes, blue is in there. Blue is in the chrome. Blue is in the chrome. Blue is on the sidewalk. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pump those up. So if we make them black and white, they look dull. Bring a little bit in, they still look good. But let's really pump it up right around 25%, I think. Yeah, right about 25, 30%. We'll go 30%. Now the other question is do I want them as light as they are? We'll go a little lighter, a little darker. I'm going to keep it at 0. I really like it where really like it at 0. 0 really looks good. All right, let's go back to master and then figure out if we want to dull anything out or make it more. Probably dull it out just a touch. Now notice I'm just doing little edits on different channels. The master channel is everything. Then your colors are red, green, blue, yellow, cyan, magenta, whatever's listed here. So I think I got my colors where I want them. So we go back to our layers palette and we're looking, okay, yep, that's good. I'm going to do a clone stamp brush, boom, 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 clone stamp of the layer so that I have my final edits here. So now if I want to go back and look at what it looked like before versus what it looks like now. So let's go all the way back to the original. There's the original. There's where we are now. Okay, so I don't know. What else do I want? I got 2 minutes left. I don't know. Let's call it done. I'm going to call it done for right now. File, save as. JPEG. Save. Okay. Okay. All right, let's head back to the original. So here's the original. Paint's a little dull. We got a couple people heads back here. We got that oil stain right here. I don't like the tones per se. I got to fix that a little bit, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what we were going to do, and here's now... So here's the original. Whoops. Here's the original. Here's the edit. A little bit brighter on the colors. Not too much to be overpowering, but enough to be noticeable. The missing heads, no heads... and the stain's gone. So that's what we did in Photoshop just now. Nice little easy edits, little tiny steps, and that's really the big thing. So that's this week's Digital Babble, a little different, flipping the format, just kind of doing whatever we want to do. Talked about vacation stuff this week, you know, what type of camera to take on vacation, what you're looking for in a camera. You're looking to try to get the least amount of shutter lag, light camera, easy to pack, easy to travel with. That's what you're looking for if you're looking for a good travel camera. A couple of different things that are really good, like the G12, the Canon PowerShot G12, or the G1X, or the G15 is really good for a point and shoot that's like that. If you don't want point and shoot, you want to get interchangeable lenses, you can go to the Mirrorless. They're fairly light and compact and small. You can buy different lenses for them, but the lens range and the lens selection is not as big. Go into a regular old SLR. You can get a DSLR. A Canon SL1 is one of the more recent SLRs that came out. A quarter the size and weight of any other SLR out there. 1/4 less than any other SLR out there. Really good product. The sensor's awesome. It comes with a Digix 5 processor, so you got a lot of speed. Practically no shutter lag, like 1/20th of a second of shutter lag. You'll never see it. The minute you pull the trigger is the minute it takes the shot. Awesome camera. Watched the demo of it last night. I really like it. I really would think about buying it myself. So there you go. That's this week's Digital Babble. And then in Photoshop, we did a little photo editing, taking stuff in and out of the photo, cleaning up some different things, using the clone stamp brush. And there you have it. So you've been listening to the Digital Babble. You've been watching the Digital Babble. I'm Flipper. I'm on every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. here on fingerlicks1.tv, fingerlicks1.com. You can go check us out at our website at tdbny.com. You can also give us an email, thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. If you got any questions, give us show ideas. If you want us to photo edit some of your photos, email your photos over. I promise I'll only use first name and where you're from, because it's kind of like a friendly thing. You kind of become my friend. So anyhow, that's this week's show. I will catch you on the flip side.
A Flipside Studio production. It's the Digital Babble. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on fingerlicks1.com. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter.